Natalie Carter-Giles is known in Deer Lake, Newfoundland for her cheerful floral arrangements at a local grocery store. But she harbors a compelling duality. By day, she crafts beauty and joy with flowers. But away from work, she dives into the shadows, crafting dark thrillers that are anything but joyful. On today's episode, Natalie shares her unique creative process, discussing her writing as her personal passion. She will discuss writing in the thriller genre, share a little about her writing habits, and talk about her experience with traditional publishing, and a whole lot more. We'll also feature an exclusive excerpt from her upcoming release, Someone Else's Secret, slated for May, offering a glimpse into her gripping narrative style. This is the Brewing Fiction Podcast. Hey Natalie, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, thanks for joining us on the Brewing Fiction Podcast today.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm connecting with you from my hometown of Deer Lake.
Yes, snowy Deer Lake today.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit offline. You said that you have a bit of a blustery day today, and we are lucky enough to be going to double digits positive for the first time this spring. So
we had that yesterday, and today it's snow and below zero, so that's Newfoundland weather for you.
Yeah, changes every hour.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we're going to step right into Author's Corner, and that's where I give you the mic, Natalie, and you're just going to tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll have some fun with Fast Five, and then we'll do the interview. So be my guest. The mic is yours.
Thank you. Well, my name is Natalie Carter-Giles, and I'm a florist by day, which, I deal with all the pretty things and the nice things and the happy occasions. And by night, I'm a thriller writer, and I deal with all the things everybody hopes doesn't happen to them.
I like
So
that.
I live here in Deer Lake, but I'm from Ramia, a little small island on the southwest coast of Newfoundland. We moved here with our 3 children 10 years ago, and now I'm an empty nester. So it's me and the dog most of the time as my husband works away. So it's a lot of changes. And in that time, I became a published author. So it's a little late coming to me, but something I've always dreamed of, and I'm happy to be doing it now.
I see you have 2 publications currently. Am I correct on that?
Yes, two
Nice.
books. One in 2023, one in 2024.
Right. And is there one in 2025 by chance?
Oh, yes. It's coming very soon, in May, actually.
In May. Fabulous. All right, Natalie, we're going to do what we always do at the start of the podcast, and that's Fast Five. It strikes up a little bit of conversation, and it helps us have a little bit of fun. So I will give you 2 words, and you just pick which is your favorite or which you prefer of the 2. Okay. Do you like coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee.
Okay, coffee. 99% choose coffee. In your, let's say you're reading, do you prefer happy or bittersweet endings?
Happy.
Happy. And you're writing? Or does it just depend on how it all unfolds?
Yeah, it's going to be how it all unfolds.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger sometimes in writing. So.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Are you a daytime or a nighttime writer?
Daytime.
Okay. So you're a florist. So, and that's full time?
Yes.
So are you the type to be able to write an hour before you go to work, or need time to set up and get in the mode?
I write mostly on weekends. I'm not one of the writers that physically write every day. I'm thinking
Gotcha.
about it every day, obviously, at work when I'm playing with flowers, but I write usually on the weekends, and when we go to our remote cabin, I write like all week then, right?
Oh, wow. Nice. Would you prefer to write in a bustling cafe or a quiet library?
The library.
The library. So you're similar to most who kind of need a little bit more quiet?
Yes, yes. I like the quiet when I'm writing.
Yeah. Do you have music on?
Not when I'm writing.
Cool. And last for Fast Five is, do you go on writing sprints or are you more of a marathon writer?
I think it'd be sprints.
Yeah. When you find the time in between everything, in between
Yes,
life.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a lot of hobbies, so it's hard to carve out time sometimes.
Yeah. Right. Well, you do all right with it, considering considering you've a book a year. That's a pretty good pace, I think,
Yeah, I'm pleased with it. So
especially for a non full time writer. And I would love to be able to make a career out of writing. Then maybe you can do a couple books a year. I don't know, but even the best only do one a year. So you're on a pretty good clip, I think.
yeah, hopefully I can maintain it. That's the thing.
Yeah. So you started writing after your kids were grown?
Well, something I always wanted to do was write, and I when my youngest was old enough that he was out on his own as such, like didn't need me all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Then I
Yeah.
then I dabbled in writing, and I actually wrote a book before my first one was published, and that one is still unpublished, right? So
Oh,
that
okay.
was a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it in the same genre that you're writing now, like that
Yes.
thriller?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I write.
That's all you
I
write, eh?
dabble in a little bit of poetry, but other than that, I write thrillers.
Okay. I've heard before on the podcast talking to different writers, writing poetry is one of the best things you could do to help develop your writing because it keeps everything, concise.
Hmm.
So, um, were you a poet beforehand? Like, did you write poetry first or did you start that after you started writing long form?
After, definitely
After.
after.
Okay, cool. And is there any of that published anywhere?
No, no, the scatter thing on my Facebook page. Other than that, no, it's just for me when
Just
a
for you.
moment strikes.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we'll get into the interview here and we'll talk a little bit more about all the things, especially your novels. You kind of touched on it, but can I ask you to elaborate just a little bit more? How did your writing journey start? When did you decide, okay, this is something I can do?
It was something I always wanted to do, like from a child. I guess somewhere like 8 and 9, I started reading Nancy Drew books.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my mother is an avid reader, and she's the one who turned me on to books. As I guess she wanted to instill that in me as well. And I read all the Nancy Drew, and then I turned to Hardy Boys. And by that time, I was, I might have been 10 or 11, and I was like, okay, I'm ready for something more. And I went to Mom's bookshelf, and she's a thriller reader, so that's what I
Okay.
read.
Yeah,
And I just kept reading. I never really stopped, and I always thought that, like, I'd like to do this. Like when you pick up a book and hold it in your hand, and you see like New York Times bestsellers, like I like to do this, right? And
right. Yeah,
I guess, yeah, my son, my youngest, was, like I say, outside with his friends and stuff, and I picked up at that time as my husband's laptop, because me not being into technology, I didn't have Facebook, I didn't have a cell phone, I didn't have anything, so I took my
okay.
husband's laptop,
Yeah,
and I did typing in high school back in the late '80s. So I could type, and I started going for it, and I learned how to email because he worked away, and that was how we had to communicate back then. Because in the beginning,
yeah.
where he was, there was no cell phones and stuff, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, I got started with that book, and I shopped it around, and not really knowing what I was doing, but I did query some agents and some publishers, and had a bite, but nothing significant. And I gave up on that, and I left it alone for a lot of years. And like I
Yeah,
say, we moved to Deer Lake, and that was 10 years ago now. And my husband gave me a notebook one year. And in the notebook, at the end of the little verse that said on top was write a story. So throughout that year, I was just piddling around with the notebook, and I was writing by hand. And the following year, he gave me my own laptop. So I think he was trying to give me the hint there.
all right.
Right? So I started, and I kept going for a bit. And then I emailed it to my sister, and she read it, and she wanted to read more. So I kept going, and we kept going back and forth. And before I knew
Yeah.
it, I had a book.
Wow.
So then
Cool.
came the editing and all that stuff, and I decided, like, maybe I'd shop it around again. And I didn't really know much about the industry, and I thought at the time that, well, in order to get published, you had to have an agent. So that's the first place I started, and of course, a lot of research and how to write a query letter, and that's harder than most people think it is.
Harder than the
And
novel.
yeah, yeah, it is. It really is harder than the novel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I finally I sent off a few, and I never got anything from it. And I said, well, maybe there's something locally. And I looked around, and I come across a couple here in Newfoundland, and I sent it off to Flanker. And Jerry emailed back and said he'd like to see the whole thing, and then we went from there. And a
Awesome.
year later, it was published. So
Flanker is your publisher of choice. So are they? They're not an agent. Like they're just a publisher. You didn't need anybody in between to get you to Flanker. Then
no, no, I don't have an agent. No, Flanker was accept unagented submissions, so I just did that
excellent.
on my own. Yep,
Yeah.
mailed it in, and then we
Nice.
went to the email from there. And they're an independent publisher here on the island, right?
Cool. Cool. I actually went to their website just to take a look, and uh, it seems they focus on Newfoundland lore specifically. I think in Newfoundland writers.
Yes,
Um,
yes. Yeah, it's a good avenue for writers like me. Like, not everybody can get national publication or national recognition. So every
no,
province has these
most
little,
can't.
yeah, every
Yeah.
province I think has these publishers that, cater to local authors and
Yeah.
local material, right?
Yeah, I know your settings are based in Newfoundland too. Would that be a requirement, or not necessarily? Just the fact that you are a Newfoundlander, they would take it on, or do you know?
I'm not. I don't know. I think they like for their authors to be located in Newfoundland because for meetings and signings and all that stuff. Like, not everybody, you're not going to fly in from Nova Scotia or Ontario or BC even like to do a signing here at Coles or your launch at Chapters, right?
Cool. So you've done some signings in Corner Brook. Have you done any in St. John's too?
Yes, oh yes, I've done signings in Corner Brook, several places in St. John's with the two Coles and Chapters, and I've been to
Nice.
Costco, and we do Christmas at the Glacier every year. Flanker sets up a booth there, so they have
Oh
different
yeah.
authors come in throughout the 3 or 4 days that it's ongoing, and do signings there. And I've done signings at Coles here in Corner Brook, and I've been out to Stephenville, and I go home and
Yeah.
library readings and things like that.
Cool. How did you? I mean, you deal with the public in your job, so do you find that difficult? The engaging
Um,
with your readers and signings and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, at the first time I had to this the launch at Chapters, and I had to speak, and I like that's not me at all, right? I was
Right. Yeah.
terrified, and but I got through it. And then I used to dread the signings because I didn't know how to talk to people and stuff. And then I got used to it, and the more I do it, the more I don't bother it now. I enjoy talking to people about the books, and
Cool.
it's good to get out there then, right?
Yeah, I guess it comes with experience. No different than your writing. I mean, you're the first time you sat down, it's obviously a lot better, a lot more improved than the first time you sat down. So no different than when you're out, publicizing, uh, out in the public,
Yes.
talking to people and that kind of stuff. You get better at it
Yeah.
each time you do it.
Oh yeah. The more you do it, the easier it gets, I say. So.
Yeah, yeah, cool. All right, so I think your latest is Next to Die,
Yes.
published in September of last year.
That's right.
You got some good ratings on it. I've taken a look at both the books here. You've got some good ratings,
hmm
so obviously people are enjoying it. Why don't you tell
Yes.
us a little bit about? Why don't you tell us a little bit about both of them, if you like, just to share what they're about and insight from the author.
Okay. Well, Hunting Elena was my first book, and that one
Right?
came out in 2023, and it's a
Yeah.
psychological thriller. So,
Okay.
first thing I like to tell people when they ask, they said what kind of book it is, and they'll say, "Oh, it's like a mystery." And I said, "No, it's not a mystery; it's a thriller." And that's the first thing that you need to make a distinction between is the mystery and thriller, because mystery is cozy. You can sit up and you read it and you can smile about it, and it's like
Yeah.
like Agatha Christie. She's the queen of mystery. And
Right.
thriller, like this, is much darker. It's much more fast paced. It's more intense. It's something that keeps you on the edge of your seat more so than mystery. And
Gotcha. Okay.
it's not for everybody. Like, I've had people tell me they were scared to, turn out the lights in the night, or can't read when their husband's not home, and that kind of thing. Right? This
Yeah.
It's the kind of books I read, and I guess I really don't see that aspect of it because I'm so used to it. Is what I like. So I don't understand it sometimes, but some people do. So you really need to know the distinction between the two. It's really almost two different genres.
So, Natalie, how did you like that's one of the things a lot of writers struggle with is determining the genre that they should fit in.
Hmm.
How did you determine that's where you are? Okay, a thriller, psychological thriller. I think I have in my mind what that is,
Hmm.
but yet I'm not sure that I can distinguish my writing as a thriller versus horror or suspense, or how do you determine that?
Well, first though, the thing with suspense, it's every genre. I read historical fiction as well, but every
Okay,
genre needs suspense of some kind or to pull a
sure,
reader along. So I kind
yeah,
of like to take suspense out of it
fair,
because it's a mystery needs suspense, a romance needs suspense. Like is right. So for a psychological thriller, and that's like Hunting Elena, it's like you're getting inside the head of somebody. In this case, it's Elena and her ordeal. Like there's usually something like for her, she was abducted. She was held captive for like a little over 3 weeks, and then she escapes. But the captor, her abductor is never caught. So that's like plays on her mind. It's what it does to people. Like
right, right,
so 8 years later, he shows up. She still hasn't got her life fully on track because well, she has no idea where he is. But when he comes back for her, then she tries to turn the tables, and she tries to get him first before he gets her. So it's like a little cat and mouse thing. But it's intense. There's more graphic descriptions and stuff in there. Like
yeah,
psychological thrillers sometimes need trigger warnings, kind of thing, right? Thrillers as well, right?
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha, cool. And
Yes.
so that was Hunting
That's
Helena.
Hunting Elena. Yeah.
Yeah,
So then the next one, it's called Next to Die, and it's the first in a series, and it's a thriller series, but it's like I don't know if you're familiar with police procedural. So there's like it's a mystery. There's cops there, and it's
yeah,
how they solve the mystery kind of thing. It's not really like a mystery; it's a serial killer. So
okay,
yeah, so it's more intense. But I like to say it's a cross between a police procedural and a psychological thriller because when I write, I like to use multiple points of view. I don't just write from the cop's perspective or the killer's perspective. I use them all. So in Next to Die, you'll see points of view from the cops that's there, and then of course you'll see a point of view from the serial killer. And like I alternate chapters,
nice.
and then there's a guy in there fancies himself a journalist, but he's the lead hand in the produce department at Coleman's. So
Okay,
just a little bit of local content in there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
these characters will continue on in the next book, which is coming in May. Right, the story ends, but the
yeah,
characters continue on, and so it's
gotcha.
quite intense, and it's dark, and some people have loved it, and others are a little scared by it, and
Right.
some people question my sanity after they read it.
Isn't
So
that always, yeah, isn't that
yeah,
always the case, right?
yeah,
Especially people who know you, know the type
yes.
of person you are, and like, how can you write that way?
Yes, that's right.
Right.
That's what they say.
Yeah,
Like she's so sweet over in the floral department. Like I can't believe this comes out of her.
exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Love
Yeah.
that. I chuckled when you talked about Coleman's, and listeners won't really understand, except for obviously listeners from our hometown, right? But or from
Yes.
our home province, I guess. But it's pretty cool. When I write, I have never put my stories in a familiar surrounding. I always, you know, some town in
Yes. Fictional.
Neverville, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So it is pretty cool to tie it to someplace you're familiar with, someplace some readers will be familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to do it that way because you're familiar with it, but sometimes it can be a little more complicated because you can't make the errors that you could in a fictional town because you're the creator of this
True,
fictional town,
right?
so no one else knows it. But
That's
like
true.
you're using St. John's, my Next to Die is set in St. John's, so I lived there for 4 years when I was in university, so I'm
Yeah.
quite familiar with it. And I have two kids down there now, and we go back and forth a lot, so it was nice to do it there, right? And
Gotcha. I know I was going to ask one of the questions here that I have for you is, so you got a criminology certificate. Does that play any part in your writing of this particular series because of your familiarity with crime and that kind of stuff?
I think it's actually opposite. I did the criminology certificate because I was interested in it, because I like
Okay.
reading it and I like the psychological aspects of crime and what made
Yeah.
people do the things that they do, right?
Awesome.
Like if you read Next to Die, you would understand that more with the the killer in this book, because it is a psychological thing that's going on there, right? So it's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so
Gotcha.
it
Okay.
takes a bit of research. But my sister is a social worker, and she works with mental health and addiction. So she's good
A
resource to
good
go to and
resource.
say, like, do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, she reads it and she says, no, this don't make sense, or no, you can't do that, or yes, this is good, or whatever. Right?
Nice. Well, it's great to have somebody in your corner in that regard in the industry that you're writing about, or
Yes.
part of the story. Have you
Yeah.
have you done any research like with RCMP and like the Newfoundland Constabulary at all? Do you have relations there, or is
Not
that
the
more fiction?
RNC, not the RNC, but for the RCMP, I have a cousin, my first cousin, but she's superintendent in the RCMP. I think
Yeah,
she's going into retirement there now, but she's my resource for questions
there
there.
you
And when
go.
there's something
So
she couldn't
wow,
answer, she sent me to someone else, right? So,
wow, good for you. So you actually do some research. So it's not all just fiction. I mean, you're trying to get some fact checking in your writing as
yeah,
well.
I try to get it as close as I can, and in some cases, like in Next to Die, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bannerman Park in St. John's.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I needed that park, but I needed it to be much bigger. So I called it a different name, right? So you
Mm,
can fictionalize that. It's kind of
yeah.
certain
Of
things,
course.
right? And
Yeah.
people understand that. And I did make a note of it in the author's notes at the back, right?
Cool. Yeah. Nice. All right. Specific themes or messages? Do you aim to convey any in your writing, or do you just write for entertainment?
Oh no, I just write for entertainment. Yeah. Well, I like strong females. You'll never see me write a weak female character because I don't like to read them and I don't like to write them. I like to try and portray myself as a strong female, and I want my creations to be the same. So
Awesome.
that's one thing. But other than that, it's just entertainment.
Just entertainment. Okay. Cool. So we mentioned that you're a daytime writer more so than a nighttime.
Yeah.
Um, how many hours a day do you write? So you're a weekend writer. How
hmm
many hours? And I know this is going to vary, but do you have an average? Do you have a goal that you try and write to be able to get a novel a year? Do you have a set time that you would write on the weekend?
No, I don't set any goals. There's just I write till I feel like I want to go outside. If it's nice, I'm out in the garden, so I might write for a while and then go outside, and then I might write some more later on the patio. If it's
Awesome.
winter time and it's nice in the woods, I'm gone for a walk. So it depends. And if it's a
Okay.
rainy day, I could write the entire day.
Gotcha. So you don't put any stress on yourself to
No,
have certain amount of words per day or per week.
no. It's writing comes to me, and I guess like in spurts. Like sometimes I could write, like I say, for the whole weekend. I might not do anything but write. When I go to the cabin, I do a lot of writing. There's no set time, but I
Yeah.
do a lot of writing there. And just,
Okay.
we go up there probably 3, maybe 4 weeks out of my year. I get to the cabin, right? So
Yeah. Okay.
and it's a lot of writing then. But I have a lot of hobbies, and I'm an outdoors person, so I garden a lot, flowers and stuff, and I like walking in the woods and things. I like painting, writing is another hobby.
One
I
of the
try not
many.
to look at it as a job and something that I have to get done. And that way, I enjoy it.
You know what? That's very good advice. I think that's what I hear a lot from people who are trying to meet deadlines and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It
I think
puts
it's
too
different
much.
if you're a full-time writer and you have all these deadlines and commitments and stuff, but like I'm a full-time florist. This
Yeah.
writing thing is fun. It's not paying my mortgage, right? So it's just something I
Fair.
wanted to do, something I wanted to accomplish. So I try
Yeah.
and treat it more as a hobby than as a job, right?
Nice. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Do you have a specific writing process? So what I mean by that is like, do you have okay, so some writers will light a candle. Some writers will have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Somebody will play a playlist on Spotify. Do you have any writing habits for, anything in a writing process, or you just sit down and go?
Yeah, just sit down and go. Coffee. I usually start with coffee, but
Okay.
other than that, it's just sit and go. And there's no
Really?
particular place. I could be sat in the chair. I could be at the dining room table. I could be at the patio table outside. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you don't need to be in a frame of mind. You don't need to be in a particular zone.
No, no.
Any tools? Like what do you use to write? Do you just use Word, or do you have a particular program?
I just use Word, Microsoft Word.
Word. Okay. Do you have a grammar helper at all, or do you just use what's built into Word?
Just whatever is built into Word.
Oh,
I
wow.
have an English degree from MUN as well, so
I suppose, yeah. So
yeah,
you're probably a better editor than
yeah,
any program anyway.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't have anybody edit my work before it goes to Flanker. Flanker edits, but they're usually pretty clean, so it's not a lot that has to go into it afterwards. Of course, there's some.
Nice.
There's always some, but
There's always some, but wow,
yeah,
good for you.
yeah.
So you talk about the talent. You have the knack for it already. So you could write on a napkin and probably still do a novel.
Just a lot of scrap paper from Coleman's that comes home with writing on it, I'm sure.
It's an idea pops in your mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. So on that note, how much unpublished or half finished work do you have?
Well, I have the first manuscript that I ever wrote, which is way
Right.
back when. I
Are
actually
you?
printed that one off this winter and thought I might revise it, but the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking I'm not sure if it's going to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I have another manuscript that was I don't know, I might have gotten 40,000 words in, and another idea struck that I like better. So that's a book that's going to be published this year now. So I abandoned
Okay.
that one. So I'm not sure if I'll revisit or not. We'll see. I
Oh,
have
okay.
another
So
idea now on the go. So I don't know.
yeah. Well, like most writers, it's a challenge to stay focused. A lot of writers have many different ideas, many projects on the go.
Yes.
Um, I'm terrible. Like I'm bouncing one day to the next to a point where I got to stop because sometimes I'm putting a character from a different story in a book, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing with a series. They're same characters. So
Yeah, you can bring them along, right? Yeah.
yeah.
So some of those other unfinished manuscripts, do they have any relations to any of your published stuff or the one?
No, no.
No.
The one that I printed off from way before, that's what I was been trying to do, just to change it over to the Sonny and Roscoe thriller series. And
Right.
I like the story, but I'm not sure it's really fitting. And so I'm not sure. I haven't totally abandoned it, but I'm not totally sold on it either. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So, would you mind sharing a little bit about your work in progress now, the one that's coming out in May? So, is that already gone to Flanker, and you're just kind of waiting, or
Yeah, no, it's with Flanker. It's soon going off to the printers. Actually, we just got the cover finalized this week.
nice?
So yeah, no, it's pretty nearly fully edited. There's a couple more at Flanker. You know, their readers are going through it, but
Yeah,
it's mostly done now. Mostly ready for the printer.
cool. So, Flanker now, do you pay them? Do they pay you? Or I don't really know the industry, and a lot of the listeners may wonder exactly
No,
how that works.
they're a traditional publisher, so I don't pay them anything. Then I get
Okay.
royalties from them, like depending on sales, right?
Yeah.
Based on
Okay.
sales. Yeah.
So they are
So there's no,
traditional.
they don't do upfront. You know, the money is it's just royalties, right?
Nice. That's cool. I know there's some vanity presses out there you got to be careful of because they'll charge
Oh
you,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
forth.
there's
And
a lot of those, and rather take your money, and then you're not too concerned about the quality or how it's distributed.
yeah, take your money and make you do all the work after as well is what I've heard
Yes,
on
right.
some other authors
Yeah,
kind of got you know pulled
yeah.
into
No,
that. So
Flanker is great like that. They have great distribution there in on the island, and my
yeah,
books they do get them into some of the Coles and chapters in the Atlantic provinces. You know, Nova Scotia and New Brunswick and PEI. So that's great. But
wow, good.
yeah,
Well,
they're
good for
great.
you. Yeah, so you'll stick with them as long as they'll have you. I guess sounds like.
Yeah, for now. Well, you know, I guess every writer's dream is to go further. So, you know, if there was a chance to go, I say with national, and I guess that's something I would look at then, right? But
Of course, yeah. If it
for
presented
now,
itself,
it's
right?
flanker, right? I'm happy
Yeah.
right where I'm at. So.
Okay.
I'm not actively seeking, I guess, another publisher. So
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, you're happy with the success you're having with your books, right?
yes.
Yeah. Good for you. Um, I know you said you're not technologically knowledgeable. So how do you stay connected with your audience?
Facebook. Usually,
Okay.
this mostly. I got an account there on Instagram, but I don't use it a whole lot. That's not
Yeah.
really fussy about it. But I do have a Facebook page that I try to keep up with.
Okay. All right. So that's how people can find you as well, probably. Hey.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Social media is exhausting. It is. It's that in itself is a full time job. Just trying
Yes.
to get
Yeah.
out there. Even Facebook is bad. I post something and my family who will follow
Yes.
me. My family takes 3-4 days before they see it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah.
Does Flanker have like an author webpage or anything for you guys to use? I saw your bio was on the site, but I didn't see any link to like say a communication area that people could contact you or anything like that.
No, I don't. No, not through
No,
Flanker like
hey?
that. No, they have
Okay.
their own, like I say, their website and stuff, and you can purchase my books, well, all their author books from directly from Flanker, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know one place, and again, I know if you're happy with where you are, that's cool. But one place you could go, you can have a little bit of interaction is Goodreads. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I'm on Goodreads. Yeah,
Are you? Okay. All
yes,
right.
yeah. I
Yeah. So
only I'm a big reader, so I use it mostly to track my own reading, but I am there.
that's fair. Yeah. Well, yeah, I've had a Goodreads account for, I don't know, 7, 8 years or something like that. And
Mhm.
just, I just realized that, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should put
Yeah,
my name on there as an author. So yeah. Okay.
yeah. Now
Yeah, you can.
Flanker put mine on there, so they upload the new books each as they come, so I don't have to
Awesome.
worry about that.
Well, so they're full service and they kind of look after everything for you.
Oh yes, yeah, they are.
Wow.
Which is what I like. I didn't want to do self-publishing. I didn't want to have to try and get my book in stores and all the stuff
Yes.
that comes with it. Like for me, I think like writing is the easier part, and all the other stuff is. I'm glad that they're looking after it. I wouldn't have done it otherwise, right?
Right. When you sat down and okay, I think I'm going to try to publish this. What at that point did success look like for you?
Just getting it published in the
Yeah.
first. Like I find success looks differently after each book. Like
Okay.
first it was to get published, and then when I got published, it was like to get some recognition. And next to die was number one on the Atlantic Books Today bestseller list for a month that it came out. So,
Nice.
like the next book is another goal, right? It's another level of success. That I would like
Yeah.
to come with that, right?
Nice. Okay. Yeah. And that was the second part to the question I was going to ask. Has it changed? So it has, like you say,
Yes,
every book you have a different goal or a different level that you
yes.
want to reach. And what's the title of your third one? Can you tell us that yet?
Yep. The title is called "Someone Else's Secret."
Someone Else's Secret. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll
It's
have to keep an
also
eye.
set in St. John's, and
Yeah.
it's the second in the Sonny and Roscoe thriller series. So Sonny and Roscoe from Next to Die will be back, and
Okay.
Travis as well. That's the wannabe reporter. Now,
Gotcha.
although he's somewhat evolved in this one, so he's
Okay. All right. And is that how many books do you have planned for that series?
I don't have any number planned. It's just as
Okay.
long as I can keep coming up with the ideas, and I feel like I still want to write them. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. And any work on the back burner that would not include them right now then? I know you said you had a book you were writing, but it didn't fit into the idea that popped in your mind now.
Yeah,
Like, do
no,
you
the
see?
book that's partially written is still it was Sonny and Roscoe, and it was a different idea, and I haven't
Okay.
abandoned it. I just like the other idea better,
Gotcha.
and it's like when I latch on to something like that, is like I can't stop thinking about it, and things keep coming into mind, and I could do this and I could do that, and then I just have to start writing. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like a compulsion.
Okay. So Sonny and Roscoe, you think you're going to be with them until no more ideas then?
Yeah,
That kind of what I'm
yeah, unless I
hearing? Yeah.
decide to kill one of them off, that's not
It can
that's the writer's
happen.
prerogative, right?
It is so. Yeah. It can happen.
Yeah. That's the thing I like about writing a series is that the characters' lives continue. Like the story in each book will end. So these like a lot of readers they want to be able to pick up a book and still read it as a standalone, which you can, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
others that like to follow the series, they like to see the progression of the characters' lives, right, and how things change for them from you know.
Well, especially if you develop strong characters, your
Yes.
readers are going to wanna
Yeah.
want more of them, right? So,
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Are your characters based on anybody, like even just vaguely, or they're just totally fiction?
No, they're just figments of my imagination. They just
Okay.
yeah, they just
Okay.
come and land on the paper, and things just happen to them.
I like to say they write the story, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
I know, like a lot of people say that the book, especially thrillers, they need a good plot, and the characters is not so much. But I don't believe that. I believe the books you need a strong plot and strong characters. You can have both to go hand in hand to get the readers really engaged and invested in the book.
Yeah, for sure. And are you a plotter?
For my first book, Hunting Elena, I was a pantser.
Yeah.
With Next to Die, I started as a pantser. I may have ended a little bit plotting. And for
Okay.
this one, Someone Else's Secret, I was more of a plotter because there's, you're trying to remember the characters' things from the first book. You got to bring that to the second book so you
Mm,
don't like give Sunny blonde hair when she had red hair in the first book. Like, there's different things like that, right?
sure.
So you start to plan, you start to plot more as I get more into the series. Right?
Especially with this series, I can see that
Yeah,
because there's so many details that can't change and have to follow you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's,
Interesting.
there's a lot to remember, so you need to keep track of it, right?
Yeah, for sure. So every year we get older, it's harder and harder to write in that series because
Yep,
the details may disappear.
that's right.
Yeah. Do you have any advice you'd like to share with aspiring authors, especially about publishing?
hmm
Is there anything you'd like to, or you can give to aspiring authors about publishing specifically?
Well, for me, I would say do your research and don't
Yeah.
aim high. Like, don't think that you're going to land the best agent with the random house right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't happen for everybody. It's like a small few that get that lucky, right? So
Yeah.
so
Right.
don't be discouraged, and look to local publishers like Flanker Press or whoever's in your province, and start that route. You get your work out there, it gets you known. Like before I was published, nobody knew that I even wrote. I didn't tell anybody. So it's
Okay.
like it was hard to get your name out there when nobody knew you did anything with writing, right? So it's
Yeah.
yeah, you just start small and be happy with the small successes, and you can keep aiming and keep working towards something bigger, but don't sell yourself short by saying, "Oh, I don't want to do that because they don't have national publication," right?
Right. Right. Okay. That's great advice. That's something I'll take away, which I like to do. I always like to take away something from each of the podcasts, and that's something I'll take away for sure.
hmm
Is looking into a local publisher. That's great
Yeah.
advice.
I know, like when we're all starting out, we all have big dreams of seeing, I don't know, New York Times bestseller beside your name or something, but like
Yeah.
that doesn't happen overnight, right? So it's,
No, for sure not. Yeah. Yeah. I
you
think.
can't give
I
up
think.
because you didn't get that with your first book, right?
No, that's great advice. Great. All right. So I know you've already told us about the May release. Anything else you're excited about coming up beside the book release in 2025? Anything else going on in your writing career?
Well, I have a thing at the library at the beginning of April. It's a little writing talk in St. John's. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. It's the first time, and again for somebody who doesn't like speaking in front of a crowd, this is a big step for me. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that. And other than
Okay.
that is just getting back into the garden, to the cabin, and I'm heading to Jamaica next week. So
Oh, are you? Okay. Good on you.
yeah. My main destination every year is always to get back to the cabin. Our cabin is remote, and there's no roads in or out. You can only access it by boat.
Oh,
So, and in the
wow.
wintertime,
Wow.
the bay it's in a bay, so it's frozen over. So you can't get there, right? Unless you're
Yeah.
in a helicopter, which I don't have. So
Right.
we use it from May to September,
That's cool. Yeah, I can see that being a great place to write, being so remote.
it is, yeah, yeah. We have
Yeah.
internet, but that's only a new thing for the past few years. So other than that, we're on solar panels and stuff like that, right? It's nice,
Ah, that's cool.
nice and quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So we'll finish off here, but before we do, I'm going to let you have a few minutes to maybe read a little bit for us, just to give listeners a taste of your style and hook them to buy your book.
Okay.
So, what are you reading today?
So this one is the first little bit from the new book, the second Sonny and Roscoe thrillers, called Someone Else's Secret, and it comes in May. So
Nice.
Flankers Books, even though they're published here in Newfoundland, they are available with Indigo, so you can
Yeah.
order anywhere in Canada, and you can have them sent to the stores there, or you can request them at your libraries, and they're also available on Amazon. So they're not limited to a Newfoundland audience, right?
There you go. Awesome.
All right, so it's called Someone Else's Secret, and this is from the first chapter. It says, I wasn't born a murderer. I've never aspired to be one. Yet here I am with a bucket of barely diluted bleach and Mama's old scrub brush, desperate to erase the evidence from the kitchen floor. The yellow brick-printed linoleum is old, cracked in places, and I worry it has seeped into the floorboards beneath to wait patiently for someone to peel back the layers and discover what I have done. Across the room, my eyes stall upon the shape of you, wrapped neatly between a plastic sunflower printed tablecloth and Mama's threadbare rug. The coupling of chemicals with the realization that cleaning up is merely half my battle causes my throat to constrict. I know I have to rid myself of your flesh and bones, to erase every last piece of you from this earth, but I can't do it alone, and I'm not prepared to do the unthinkable and carry you out piece by piece. I didn't choose this path, yet somehow it's the middle of the night, I'm on my knees, and my fractured mind has entered into battle I have no way of winning. How did I end up here? I cannot remember when my life changed, when the downward spiral grew to a raging tornado. I can't tell you the exact moment I disappeared inside the storm. I can't pinpoint the date and time I was swept up, spun around in vicious circles, and propelled into this life. All I know is little by little I faded, not willingly, not knowingly, but each day, each week that passed, each year that dragged on, pieces withered and died. Now I am merely a shell, cracked and broken and rotting inside. You did this. Your words cast with vengeance, eroding my sense of worth, destroying my meager self-esteem. Your hands, bearers of the softest caress, turned balled fists to force and control my every move or suffer the consequences. Your heart, beating with false love and devotion, reeling me in and holding me close so you could trample my emotions and crush them with your special kind of love. You sought to erase me from the beginning, and I nearly let you. I scrub a little harder, more bleach, another bucket of water, so hot my skin is the color of diluted blood. And still I see you, prone on the floor, blood trickling from your wounds, hatred radiating from your eyes. Your breaths grow shallow, fading into intermittent gasps that force your chest to heave and fall. Still I wait. Anxiety and calmness compete as each jolt comes less often, less intense than the one before, until your final breath is expelled in the last words you'll ever say to me. See you in hell, you whisper, words thrust through liquid gurgling inside your throat. I want to tell you that I'm already there, but I refuse to offer the satisfaction. The linoleum is cleaner than it has ever been. The grooves, once grungy gray with embedded dirt and kitchen grease, gleam white as they can with their age. And yet I still see it, a bright coagulating sea of red, its tentacles reaching across the uneven floor, creeping through crevices, hiding in places I cannot see, reminding me that I'll never be rid of you. I pause to catch my breath and fight the exhaustion waiting on the fringes, creeping ever closer, my will and my courage spent. The underside of Mama's rug burns my retina, searing its image into my brain. Finally, the tears come. I cry, not because I'm sad for you, not because I'll miss you or long for you to burst through the door. No, hell no. I cry for myself, for all that I've lost, for all that you've taken, and for everything you've still yet to claim. You're never coming back, but how do I move on without you? How will I explain your absence? I'm not certain I'm that good an actress, and even if I were, you're still lying in the middle of the kitchen, and I have no idea what to do with you. I spy another spatter under the table, a rusty brown crusted blob, and so I return to the bucket, forcing my hands back into the steaming bleach water, scrubbing vigorously. Mama always said she could think better when cleaning, and then it hits me. I can't do this on my own, but am I really alone? There are others, women who have endured this life, women who will understand completely what I have done and why. Out there somewhere, there are others just like me. The burning question is, can I trust them? So that's the first chapter for Someone Else's Secret.
Wow. That is a great introduction for sure.
Thank you.
A wonderful florist who writes like that, hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to be available in May.
It's available
Available
in May, yes.
Flanker Press and everywhere where you buy your books, I'm sure. Like you
Yes.
said, it's on Amazon, it's on Indigo.
Yeah, and
You
the ebook versions like Barnes and Noble, Apple
Gotcha.
notebooks.
I was just going to ask
Mhm.
that if it was going to be available in ebook as well, and it
Yeah.
is. Have you ever had a thought? Because I see Flanker has an audiobook listing. Do you have audiobooks at all for your books?
No,
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 hey?
no. They have one that they did on their own with Gordon Pinson. I think it's like a short story, Christmas type thing.
Okay.
And I think Emily Iptich did one, but I think that was more of a Kobo production than a Flanker. But I can't really say for sure.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're interested in pursuing down the road, or you're happy with just having the books?
Well, of course, we'd love to do the Audible version, but it's very expensive, and with a small press like here in Newfoundland, it's outside the realm of possibilities. I think.
Fair enough. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. You've investigated it to know that it is expensive?
Flanker has, yes, yeah.
Have they? Okay. The reason I
Hmm.
asked about audiobooks is I listen to audiobooks like daily. I
Yeah.
because I drive a lot for my job. So if it's not music, which some days it's just music, but I would say 4 out of 5 days I'm listening to books. I
Yeah, I like
love.
the Audible books too. I usually have one that I'm reading and one that I'm listening to. At the same time, I have a couple on the go at the same time.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. I find it harder to read now. I'd rather listen and do something else while I'm reading, we'll say.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, Natalie, thanks very much for joining the podcast. I think your writing is definitely in my wheelhouse now that I've heard a clip. And yeah, I may just have to give that a read. And hopefully some of the listeners are hooked as well. Anything else you'd like to say before we sign off here?
Just thanks for having me. It's been fun.
It's definitely been fun, and it's my pleasure to have you. And yeah, we'll talk again. Hopefully, maybe with the new release after that's been on the market for a while. Maybe we'll get back into another podcast. We'll see.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, Natalie, thanks very much.
And thank you.
You bet. Stop by brewingfictionpodcast.com to find out more about Natalie and about past guests of the podcast. And while you're there, feel free to click through to my author page for more details on my latest release, Short Not Sweet. It's a collection of 52 microfiction stories spanning multiple genres, a real mixed bag. Think horror, psychological thrillers, and a bit of that dystopian vibe. And just a sprinkle of dark humor. You know, something for everyone who likes a little twist in their reading. Thanks for stopping by and listening today. Until next time, cheers.